Next time we'll come down the aisle and high five people as well too. Thanks very much for the welcome, and thanks very much to the Eggplant to inviting me along, and for Expleo for sponsoring this event, really. So really appreciate being here today. And you've sort of introduced me well, so I don't even need to cover that, but I will give you a quick bit of background about Expleo before I start. For those of you who don't know us, we are the world's largest quality company. We're active in about 25 regions, 30 different business verticals. We did 1.1 billion last year, to give you an idea of our size. And we have some of the standard household brand names as our clients, people like Volkswagen or Renault or BNP, or names we're all familiar with. But I'm really here today to ask you a question, and to ask if you have invested in Agile or DevOps, and what actual return did you get on that? And like many of the customers that we deal with, you may actually find that you've brought Agile and DevOps in, but it's actually taken longer for you to get your software out the door. Maybe your customers are complaining that the quality has actually dropped. Isn't Agile supposed to cure that? Or your staff are ticked off that there's too much stress in your office. Maybe as a manager, you haven't got a rashers what's actually going on with your software development projects. Or worse of all, you're spending a lot of money and you're getting very little out of it. So I'm hoping today to talk about why that might be happening. We'll look at what good actually looks like and see if quality analytics can provide a type of solution that you might actually need. But first, what I want to do is I want to put quality analytics in the frame of DevOps. And a lot of people don't really know what DevOps is, or they ask, what can it do for me? But we in Expleo have a very good definition of DevOps. And for us, it's about minimum effort to get maximum value. And it's about having the right people doing the right job at the right time, constantly building products that are fit for purpose. Now, fit for purpose doesn't actually mean it's bug-free. A lot of people think that. It means it's fit for the purpose that the customer wants for it. It's going to give them the value that they need. And most importantly of all, it's about measuring and realizing that business value. And it doesn't matter what size of organization you are or what types of software you produce, there are clear reasons why you'd want to do this. These techniques can help you to get early to market and beat your competitors. They can help you reduce cost by eliminating inefficiencies, and they can help you to build change in as part of your process. And we have sort of 4 pillars to how we go about delivering DevOps. 4 things: continuous build, test, and deploy, which is one area that people typically associate with DevOps. And one of the areas that maybe leave out is maximization of communication and collaboration, which for me is the area a lot of companies fall down in. Also, we have operation and feedback, actually using our software with the clients, operating and getting valuable client feedback. And finally, the measurement of business value. And I personally believe that DevOps is the best way to develop software, full stop. Now, for us today, quality analytics really comes under the measurement of business value part of this, and that's what I'm going to talk about. So what I want to do first is have a look at a real example of what good looks like. Now, the project that I'm going to present to you now is a real project. I've had to anonymize some of the information in here, but this is a real world project that we operated. And the project is developing and operating the Expleo Q index. Maybe you guys saw what I just did there, developing and operating DevOps, okay. So yeah, thanks. So what is this Q index thing? Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna describe it in terms of an epic. And if you don't know what an epic is, it's an agile term for how you write your requirement. And this thing, it's written in plain language. We're going to write it in English. And it's going to tell us the business value of what we're trying to achieve, the who, what, and why. And if you can't answer those 3 questions when you come to a new project or anything, you shouldn't even bother to start, because it's not going to give you any value. So this is the epic for our sample project. I've got it here. And it's as Expleo, so we're a consultancy company, we want to know which of our services that we want to provide to our clients and which clients should we provide them to. We are after vertical growth in all of our key accounts. And we want to position ourselves as key partners with our customers. We want them to understand that we have a vision for where we can take them to. So that's the value that we're trying to get out. And in order to figure out, I want to break this down slightly, put a bit more detail around it for this project. And I've broken it down into what are called 3 features. And it's the same thing, 3 features that describe the value of what we're trying to do. So I've got 3 features here, and the first one is this. As our Explio consultants, who typically have access to the senior management of our clients, I want to survey those clients to figure out what their current capability is, and then what gaps they might have, and where we can come in with our services to deliver quick wins. So that's our first feature. Feature number 2 is our sales guys. We want to be able to compare and benchmark our different customers. We want to see what services are the most popular, the most important, where we should build talent to deliver those, and where we can do it remotely. And then finally, feature number 3, I want to actually deliver those quick win services and start to get value back in, position ourselves as key visionary partners and grow our accounts. So what I'll do now with this particular project, I'll take the first feature and I'll break it down one level further and write what are called user stories. Everybody's of course heard of user stories. It's a typical Agile term, but again, it's the same thing. It's a piece of English that describes the value of what we're trying to get out. So here we go. So our feature 1 is about surveying our customers to find those gaps, and I've got 3 features here. So the first one, 3 stories. The first one is I want to survey the clients to figure out where their gaps are and what their current capability is. Number 2, I want to replay the results of those surveys to the clients. And number 3, I want the clients that they can view those results at any time and potentially compare themselves against other people, maybe other departments in the same company. So 3 stories, and those things represent the requirements for our project. Now I want to go on and actually build some software. So what I'm going to do is I need to get a software development team to come in and build the stuff for us. So here they are. This is the Explio Digital Labs crack DevOps team, and here they are down the pub last Friday after work, one of their favourite places. Now they might look like a motley crew, but in fact they're a highly experienced cross-functional DevOps team. We've got software developers in there, but we've also got test automators, systems administrators, DBAs and BIs, quality analysts, every single role required to deliver an effective software project. So here they are. So what these guys are going to do is they're going to get around and come up with a solution, the how we're going to do this for the requirements that we've got. And they've sat down and they've looked at our first 3 stories and they've come up with a solution. And that's going to form the acceptance criteria that will agree with the owner of the product for each of the stories. Now don't forget, what we want here is a minimum effort, maximum value type approach. So these are the solutions they've got. So story number 1, we're going to survey our customers. Our crack team have decided to produce a questionnaire in Microsoft Excel. Dead straightforward, dead easy. We'll see if it works. For story number 2, where we have to replay the analysis, they've selected Microsoft Power BI in this particular case because we have licenses for it. It's nice and easy to use. The customers like it. Fine. Then story number 3, where the customer is going to log in and see the information, they've decided to host both the questionnaire and the analysis in a website, in our Explio's Quality Intelligence portal, or QUIP. It's basically a cloud-hosted, high-availability web portal. So those are the 3 solutions that our team have come up with. And now we go to actually develop the stuff. We've decided to use the Agile process Kanban. Now, for those of you who don't know Kanban, it's a process where we take one story, and one story only. We develop it, test it, release it, operate it, and get feedback before we do anything else. Okay? So we get that feedback, and we're not going to do any more work on it until that's come in. And this is a great process because it allows us to maximize change for the start. We're actually going to get feedback before we start on story number 2 and change our product accordingly. It reduces our development time. There's no scope creep. There's only one thing that we're going to do, and allows us to get to market very quickly. So let's look at some actual numbers. This point of this talk is quality analytics. Here's some actual analytics. And what I've got here is the amounts of effort that we have spent in the first 20 days of the project. And again, this is real information. So here's the days along the bottom, and here's the effort that's been spent. And these black lines represent actual releases of the project that we're developing. And on the bottom here, we have like a cumulative score of effort as we go along. So right here on day 1, the team's gone off and they've actually spent 2 days and they have built that Excel-based questionnaire. And they've released it on day 2. Nothing's really happened in day 2 or day 3, but in day 4, we have sent an Explio consultant on site with the client to run the survey. Now that is billable time that we charge the client to run that survey. Nothing on day 5, and again on day 6, another survey with another client. Now they've surveyed the client, so they'll have to replay the results. So the team then has come on day 7 and day 8 and actually built the second story, which is the Power BI analysis. And there's about 3 days that they've spent doing that. And then our consultant has gone back and replayed the results to the client. Now, once they've done that, the client's expecting to view the information at any time. So the teams had to go back to their development tools and build our web portal. And that's happened on day 10 and day 11. And you can see there's about 3 days of effort there. Day 12, customer 2 replay. And oh my goodness, we've had a problem here because what actually happened was there a bit of negative feedback came from customer number 2. They didn't like the UX so much. So the team took on board a couple of change requests here on day 15 before they did any more work. And then after that, we did a number of surveys and replays to 4 other clients. So you can see here, as we go through the process, there's about 30 days, 28 days, I think it is, of overall effort that's actually been spent on this project. Now, one of the things I want to do is accurately measure the value of what we're trying to do. And for each story, I need a mechanism for getting that feedback, but also come up with some sort of value measurement to give an indication of what we're doing is right. So for each of the stories, we've come up with an approach. So for the survey, what we've decided to do is to question the person delivering the survey to get their feedback. You know, has it worked out? What has the customer thought? When we replay the results, again, we can talk to the consultant to see what the feedback from the client is. And on story 3, when we give the customer access to the website, well, we can gather feedback, but we can also run stuff like Google Analytics, you know, on the site to see what the usage is like. So what I'm going to show you now, if I just quit out of this presentation, and it appears to have shut down my Excel when I came over here. I'm going to show you an Excel spreadsheet which shows some of this feedback. Now, what we've done in each case is, so here's story 1. We produced the Excel. We asked the consultant a few questions. Was the survey easy to deliver? In the survey, there's a number of questions, and each one has got a multiple choice response. You know, were there enough questions? Did it cover all the capabilities that we wanted to measure? Were there any missing? And in each case, what the consultant's done is he's given a wee bit of text to, you know, explain his feedback, and he's given a score. And it's very simple to measure. Score out of 5. You know, 5 really good, 1 not so good. And we've got feedback from a number of different clients. And again, whenever we went to do the Power BI, we asked similar questions. Did the analysis make sense to the client? Did the customer identify with it? And again, for the website, you know, we can ask questions there. But most importantly of all, in each case, we asked a few questions around the business value. Has it opened up any other opportunities with the customer? Now, I actually did one of these myself, and I went into this client, and we ran the survey, and they had this digital transformation program underway, and they had no way of accurately measuring whether or not the program was having a success. So they were rolling out a new tool, but did it make any difference to them? And they were able to use this to provide an actual number to show if the thing's been successful. So important information. Is it making a difference to us as a business? Is it positioning us correctly with the client? So if I just go back to the presentation here. So what we've now got is this sort of score, and if we take an average value of all those scores out of 5, it gives us an indication if the stuff's actually doing what it's supposed to. And what I decided to do was to plot this number on the graph from before. So here at day 4, and we got, because that was the first time we released anything, we surveyed the consultant, and the score came back at 4 out of 5 at 80%, and that's actually quite good. And we plotted as we go along, and here, customer number 2, we got some negative feedback in, and the score dropped. But as the change requests were put in, the score goes back up again. So I can see as we go through this project, actually, that's not bad. We're getting 80, 90%, you know, approval rating basically on feedback from our clients, feedback from our consultants, and that gives me confidence to say that actually we are delivering business value. This is relevant to our customers, and it's helping us to get in with additional business. So fantastic. Now, the best thing is, because we're actually charging consultancy time, this is delivering income as well. And what I've got here is this line shows the amounts of expenditure that we're putting in to deliver this project. We have to build the software, so we're paying our people time to do that. But this line at the top shows the amount of income that's coming in as we bill our clients consultancy time to deliver the survey and the replays. And these blue bars represent the actual profit that we've got. Now, I've taken out the actual number at the end, but when we got to the end of the 20 days, not only are all the costs covered, but there's a healthy profit coming in as well too. And I'm quite confident in saying that, that this approach, this minimum effort, maximum value, is also given maximum profit, and that's one of the reasons why we're here. So I looked at an example of what good looks like. Profit from day 4, fantastic. But I also want to take a look at what bad looks like as well. Unfortunately, we went to recruit our good software team from the pub down in Belfast. We were also able to recruit a second not so good software team that we're going to use to develop a very, very similar project. We actually went through this exercise as well of doing the same project using a different approach, a more traditional approach that many of our clients would follow to see what the challenges were. So here's the development team here. You can see they've added a new recruit to the team, but this is our bad team. And the way we managed this project was, first of all, we used Scrum. So it was very popular with a lot of our clients, sprint-based Agile process. And we had a 1-week sprint cycle. And we also brought in the concept of the 3 amigos. Everyone heard of the 3 amigos? Yeah, well, a few of you have, a few of you haven't. The 3 amigos is basically where you bring the developer, the tester, and the product owner together to come up with a solution for the client. It's a term normally associated with Scrum. And what we normally find in this type of scenario is there's actually comprehensive requirements documentation. And normally what happens is the BA turns up with a big Word document with all the requirements that the senior manager's written out, or the sales manager, whatever it happens to be, and they've handed that off to the team to develop the software. So that's what we've got in this case as well too. So here's the effort that was actually spent. Now what happened here, and it's and again, this is a real example that we went through, and it mirrors what our customers normally see as well. The first thing they did was they had like a sprint 0. And in that sprint 0, they spent a lot of time figuring out what the requirements actually meant and turning them into user stories and getting sort of the tools in place. And then so they got that out of the way, and then they went into the first sprint, and that really was about developing the software. Now, these guys weren't thinking about a little minimal increment type approach. They had their eyes on the end solution, the website where you had to log in and get access to results. So they started to build that straight away, and it took them about a week to get that up. And at the end of the week, they did an internal demo to a senior sales manager who sort of liked it. It was okay, but he had a few changes. He didn't think it'd be appropriate for his customers, and he put a bunch of change requests in. Now, the trouble was as well, they'd spent the whole week writing the software. They hadn't actually properly tested it, and they had planned that the next week was going to be focused on testing the software. So that's what they did. So week 2 was sort of testing and trying to work the change requests in at the same time. And they got to the end of the second sprint, or really the third sprint, and then it was all about deployment, getting it to a point where it was actually up on the production servers so that they could showcase it to the clients. And we got really to the end of this 20-day sort of process, and that's when we actually had something we could give to the customers. Now, the bad thing was that this shows the count of bugs in the system as time went on, and it was okay at the start. But then when we got into the project properly, the sales guy came and he put a few change requests. And see those sales guys, I haven't got a clue. Like, he was asking them to make changes and stuff, and they didn't like that. And they were fighting against the change requests and the testing and the normal bugs, and it was a complete nightmare. And that just got worse as time went on as well too. And by the end of the 4 sprints, they weren't very happy, and there was loads of bugs in the system, and there was a lot of late nights towards the end to try and get the bug count down, which is actually why it dropped towards the end. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been a developer, I've been a manager, and I know exactly what it's like. I mean, as a manager, what the hell are you guys doing? You've taken 4 weeks, and what have you built? It's rubbish. It's not what I want. Did you not read the requirement specification at the start? Flipping managers. But as a software developer, I've been in that position as well too. You give us this requirement spec, it is so complicated. Where did you get the BA from to write it? Did he come from Cambridge? Did he have a PhD in law? Because I can't understand it. And quite frankly, we did a pretty good job, and I'm sure it's delivered exactly according to the specification. Don't give me that. And you find out that everybody's pissed off and burnt out, and nobody's really happy, and we've not really actually given anything to the clients yet. Now, in the previous example, we talked about what good looked like and the profitability. When I first of all compare the sort of efforts over time, you can see immediately that there's a lot more effort being spent in the bad scenario than in the good, and we don't actually have any downtime here at all. And these nice blue bars where we're charging time to the clients, don't have any of those in the top graph. And when you look at the overall time spent, well, on the good side, at about 28 days, it's over 40 days now. And once again, there's no consultancy time. And no consultancy time means no profit. It's all loss. It's all development time. And I guarantee you that that team will have built expensive functionality, because we know that development is expensive and testing is even more expensive. That's not going to be wanted, or will have to change as soon as a customer actually sees it. And certainly I've been in that boat as well too, and it's not pleasant. And as it happened, they did build plenty of software. They built like login screens and things like that weren't reporting. It wasn't actually necessary at that stage. So that's what bad looks like. And I want to throw you a few sort of indicators or problems or things you might have encountered that will tell you that you're on the route to bad. Things like you get to the end of a sprint and you've got a demo. You can't give it to a customer. Or the one which I love the most, requirements are constantly changing. How can we build quality software when you idiots keep changing the requirements? How many times have I heard that? That just means that you're building too much up front. You're waiting, you're trying to do too much before you get to market. Perhaps, like many clients, requirements are stored in lots of different places. You've got a Word document from the BAs, you've got a tool like Azure DevOps or Jira that has stories in it, you've got a wiki, you've got all sorts of copies of the requirements, and by the way, those go stale pretty quick. How often is a change made to the software and suddenly you have to backtrack and make all the documentation right, and nobody understands it anyway, so it's all mismatched and stale very quickly. Do you have sprints like we had, devoted entirely to bug fixing and testing? Is anybody actually learning or improving? Do you have time for customer feedback or for innovation? My team in Digital Labs, we have a regular sort of micro-innovation program where the team gets a chance to play with new technologies and find out how those can be built into our products and services. Everybody's really happy. Maybe you've brought the three amigos in and you forgot Galahad and D'Artagnan as well too, the building and release and infrastructure guys. And most importantly of all, maybe you've had no way to actually measure the value of what you're getting out. These are all problems that you may have encountered, or issues or warning indicators that you might want to take stock of. All right, looked at what good looks like and what bad looks like. Now what I want to do is, we looked at some effort scores and profitability. I want to start bringing in some more measurements in. I want to look at what product quality measurements and starting to bring in information about how good the software actually is. And if I go back to our definition of DevOps, one of the most important parts of this was to continuously build products that are fit for purpose and have a continuous build, test, deploy pipeline. And this is traditionally an area that people equate with DevOps. I've got some automation in play, boys, great, and they forget the other things. But it's still very important. And in our pipeline, we normally have 3 phases of the pipeline. Phase number 1, we take the code and then we scan it for things like code quality issues, and we use tools like maybe SonarQube, will be very popular, Microsoft FX Copper, stuff like that, to scan for code quality or static security. And then when those scans are completed and the tests pass, we then build the application automatically and we deploy it up for testing. And that's where tools like Eggplant Functional come in, or maybe Burp Suite for dynamic security testing, and we test the actual built application. And when those tests are finished, we'll still deploy it up to maybe a UAT server, and that's where the manual testers will come in and do like exploratory testing. Still an important part of the overall process. So I want to take the actual pipeline that we use to build, our good example, our Q index, and here it is. Now, Explio are technology agnostic, but we try to pick the best tool for the job, and also have our consultants have a good experience of different tools that are in the marketplace. So these are the ones that we used for this particular case. We used Azure DevOps to manage the project. We had SonarQube in place. When it came to the functional testing, we used Eggplant Functional, which was excellent for testing the Power BI. In fact, it was the only tool that actually worked. And we brought in Karate BDD for end-to-end sort of BDD testing. We used HP LoadRunner for the performance testing and Burp Suite for the security testing. And the whole thing was deployed up to test environments running on AWS. So that was the actual tool chain that we put in place. And what we did is that every single one of these tools in there provides us with metrics that can come back that we can use to measure the quality of the software. Now, this particular screenshot shows you 6 code quality metrics, and those come, in this case, from SonarQube. And that could be anything. That could be metrics coming from Microsoft FX, Copper, any other particular tool. We also have metrics from Eggplant Functional as well as the other testing tools in our pipeline. But this is an example, and it shows you things like how much technical debt's in the software, how much code duplication, how much commenting and stuff is in. This isn't actually the one from the Q-index, but it's a typical type of screen. So we get those metrics at real time, from the tools in our tool chain, and we want to use those to get an overall measurement of quality that we can build into our dashboards and our reports. And in Explio, we use the ISO 25010 standard, which is the standard for software delivery quality. There was actually a previous standard, I forget the number of it, but it's been going on for some time. And we take those scores from code quality and test automation, and we use them to calculate an overall ISO score. And this is actually something we've been doing for many, many years. In fact, over 30 years with many of our customers. What we've done here is to automate the process and bring the results up into this live update dashboard. And what this shows you is, first of all, an overall quality score, as well as a breakdown of the different ISO quality attributes. And these are things like how performant or how secure or how maintainable the software is. And this dashboard is actually hosted within our Quality Intelligence portal as well. So what I'm going to do is I'll take those scores and I'll plot them on the graphs that I showed earlier. Now, if you remember, in our good example, we had 3 releases. The first was the Excel, the second was the Power BI, and then the third was the actual portal. So we didn't start developing the software part of it until day 9. And that's when the results of the quality testing start to come in. And once the software was built, the scores went up pretty quickly. Now, you can't see it there, but the actual quality of that piece of code is 97.5%. So it's pretty good. And I haven't shown it here. I've just shown the ISO score, but I could break that down and drill into the different types of score, that are the different attributes or the different metrics that are in there. So I can say that, with this information, as a senior manager in charge of these projects, that not only are we building software that provides us that business value and profit, but it's also fit for purpose as well too. It's of great quality. And in fact, while I've just taken metrics from the continuous build, test, deploy pipeline, I can bring metrics in from any source involved in this. Our collaboration and communication platforms, we use Azure DevOps, we have Slack, we have Microsoft Teams. From our operation and feedback, we're surveying people as well, and we can bring metrics in from those as well too. And these can all come together to form a complete overview of the value of our project. And this is our business value dashboard, actually. And this is a live update dashboard that's available to everybody involved with the project. I think it's really important that everybody from the top all the way down to the most junior developer that makes my tea every day, understands the value of what they're trying to do. And in this dashboard, we have an overall score for the value of our project, 98%. We have a breakdown of the product quality, which comes, of course, from the tool chain. The effort that we're spending, the amounts of time, and that's all being logged in the Azure DevOps management system, and then also the profitability, both the actual money that's coming in, our definition of done, business value, KPI that we made up earlier on, plus actual operational feedback scores from the survey results that are coming back. And that provides me with actionable intelligence. I want to know if I'm going to continue funding this project or not. And I can look at this and say, we're not spending much time. It's bringing in profit, and the quality's great. Fantastic. Let's keep funding it and moving it to the next level. And it's not just one dashboard. I can actually then drill down from here into various levels of detail to show that there's actual meat behind those numbers. And if a problem, of course, does arise, I can use that information to help diagnose it. So I can go from our business value dashboard into our ISO 2510 quality dashboard, and from there into Eggplant, Functional, or Sonar, Cube, whatever other tools we're running inside the tool chain. I can drill into our Azure DevOps project management system and actually look at some of the dashboards and numbers and tickets in there. I can drill into our operational feedback, and this shows results from the surveys that are coming in, sentiment analysis and stuff like that. So I can drill in and find out the actual information. Okay, so what I wanted to quickly do was have a look at what we'd actually built in that example and what we're actually showing to our customers. And here it is, it's the Q index, and it's targeted at senior stakeholders and decision makers within the organization. And it's good whenever the organizations have an issues with software delivery, or their competitors are getting faster to market, or they've heard about DevOps and they haven't got a clue what to do about it. And what it does is it measures the client's capability and maturity against the 4 pillars, and it provides actual numbers and scores that they can use. And we have some nice analysis, which I'm going to quickly show you. We have, for example, an overall score for their maturity. We have a breakdown of scores against the capability, so we can tell you what your score is for architecture, or for communication and collaboration, or for quality assurance, or environment management. And what we discovered actually is in many of these cases, there's certain things are more important for software delivery maturity than others. It's very easy for someone to go and pull down Eggplant Functional, get a trial license, and knock up a few tests. You know, we've done it, it's a great tool. It's much more difficult to do environment management properly. You may have to have a third-party company that's going to be providing your environments. You may have to get budgetary approval. Some things are harder for DevOps adoption than others. And so what this chart shows is it shows the importance of the capability against the urgency, how bad you are at it. And what we've discovered as well is when you talk to different people and survey different people in organizations, they have different views. So for example, I mean, I actually did one of these things, and I got talking to the CTO of this organization, and I said to him, how agile do you think you are? And he says, oh, we're great, we're really agile. What I do is I bring in the customer and I sit them down with the developer, the tester, and the product owner, the 3 amigos, and they build a solution in 2 days. Isn't that fantastic? Now, I was well prepped because I'd seen the numbers, and I brought in the release manager. Dave, how long does it take you to get this stuff into production? You build it in 2 days. How long does it take? 6 months. And this guy, what? You're telling me it takes 6 months to get into production, and I'm promising my clients 2 days? And the CTO didn't know. He had no clue, and this was providing him that sort of high-level visibility and numbers that he could use. But what we do find is that when we talk to different people, you can have a look at this, and the balls, the numbers bounce around depending on their opinion, and you can get big swings in opinion between the testers and the infrastructure people and the developers. Typically, the testers think the quality is great. When you talk to the infrastructure guy, he thinks it's awful. Nobody tests my environments. So what we do is, if we multiply the urgency against the importance, what this gives us is like a prioritized list of actions, areas that you as a company should focus on quickly to ensure that you're going to get to that high level of maturity. And we also get a swing of results. We find out where there's a massive difference of opinion against certain things, and that normally tells us where there's been a communication issue or problems with collaboration that need to be addressed. And these 2 measures provide an excellent way, an excellent roadmap for the customer to sort of sort their problems out and help them, get to a much higher level of maturity. And then finally, it also has historical analysis as well too, where you can look back in time and see how you've progressed. Hopefully, as Explio, we've provided services to help you out. So that was the Q index, and now let me just sort of summarize the talk for you. And I want to say, I asked at the start, have you invested in Agile or DevOps? We certainly have. Maybe like me, you find that, well, my projects are 10 times faster to market than everybody else's. I give my customers access to my cloud-based Azure DevOps platform and my value dashboard so they can see the quality. I have a massive reduction in my maintenance and support costs. My team are all happy. We get profit in on day 4. We get early feedback from the client to say, yep, that's great. Or if not, we respond immediately to their change requests. And that's great. The team are happy. I understand the value of my projects, and I know where to put the resources. I'm realizing profit early. and not wasting time or money. And that for me is really, really important. And I wanted to leave you with a few quotes. Is this stuff important? Are we on the right track? Well, here's a few quotes from important people in the business. Carly, former president of HP and really responsible for the massive rise of HP. The goal is to turn data into information and information into insights. I don't know if you've heard of this guy, Tim Berners-Lee, the web developer. That's the guy that built the web, not some guy who writes JavaScript. And he said, data is a precious thing and will actually last longer than the systems themselves. The father of quality, in God we trust. Everybody else has to bring data to back that up. I quite like Sherlock Holmes. It's a capital mistake to theorize before one has the data. Otherwise, you twist the facts to suit the theories rather than the other way around. How many times have we done that? And of course, Napoleon sort of ruled the world back in 1806. War is 90% information. He put more faith in the information, the data, and the analytics than he did in the actual army. So where next? What do you do next? Come and talk to Expleo. Find out more about quality analytics and the services we provide that can help you measure that business value and get on to a higher level of maturity and realize those benefits that we talked about earlier on. Consider putting quality analytics and business value measurement at the heart of your processes and realize and measure that business value.